Coming up...
If I tried just that, I couldn't tell you really what it is.
We can sit down, we can design your own menu, literally, from start to finish. And then you've got flavours and menu, and that's what it's all about.
I'm Lucy Elliot, founder of thechiefbridesmaid.co.uk and an expert in budget weddings. Did you know that the average wedding these days costs a whopping £21,000? That to me seems like an awful lot of money, and so in this brand new series I'm going to show you how to do it on a lot less. Welcome to 3 Grand Weddings. Last week our teams were looking at venues. This week they're looking at food and drink. Yum. Now, along with the venue, the catering for your wedding is going to be one of the biggest expenses in your budget. But this isn't to say you can't save money on it. A good tip is to have your wedding ceremony later on in the day. Get married at 4 p.m. and you can skip the canapes and go straight into your evening meal. Get married at 6 p.m. and you can quite happily offer a light evening buffet. Having a buffet is a great way to save money and a really good option if you have vegetarians or fussy eaters coming. Because buffets give you choice, your guests can just pick and choose what they want to eat. Plus, they don't have to be simple. How about a chic buffet barbecue with grilled tuna steaks and gourmet sausages? But if you really don't like the idea of a buffet and want to go for something more traditional, then think. Does your meal really have to be a 5-course extravaganza? If you're having canapes, do you really need a starter, or vice versa? And do you really need wedding cake and a dessert? Save the money and use it elsewhere in the budget, or simply rejoice in the fact that your wedding's going to be that bit cheaper. So those are my tips. Let's see what options the teams are going for. Last week we met our couples, Katie and Jeff, who live in Leatherhead, Surrey. Katie was made redundant while on maternity leave. They know what wedding they want, but saving has been a real struggle.
We'd started looking at venues. We'd sort of booked the church. We'd started looking at dresses and things. Right. That sort of all came to an abrupt end.
Their team is made up of mother and father of the bride, Phil and Jill, Jeff's mum Anita, friends Roger and Michaela, and Katie's auntie Carol. Top wedding planner Emily Ianu lends her expert hand. Katie and Jeff's team went for a family church for the ceremony and a very traditional hotel for the reception. After the judging, they found themselves in 3rd place due to spending so much of their budget on the venues. So guys, we've got £1,100 to cover off everything else to do with the wedding. So that's everything from bridesmaids' dresses, what Jeff's wearing, Katie's dress, entertainment. How about Katie and Jeff? Are they trying to drill you for answers about what's happening with the wedding?
Curiosity is being piqued. That they know that they shouldn't ask and are trying not to.
Emily, what are we going to be doing today?
Well, we're going to be trying the 2 courses that we've got lined up. So a few different starters, a few different mains. I think they'll be showing which wine will be on the table, and then maybe some options for the buffet.
So because they're having their wedding reception as part of a package at the hotel, it's not that we're not trying different caterers as such, we're just choosing different sorts of food.
Absolutely, yeah. The head chef at the Preston Cross is going to come up with some different foods, within the budget.
Great. And are we tasting any wine today?
They will be showing us the wine, yes, I think so, I believe so.
They'll be showing. Yes. Let's hope we're tasting. And presumably as part of the deal it would be the house white and red that we'll be tasting today.
Yeah, and then we're going to have a Bucks Fizz for the reception drink.
Great.
And then for the toast, I think a carver.
It sounds like we've got a lot of food to taste today. Should we go and try it?
Great.
Our second couple is London-based journalists Chickadilly and Nkem. Though they both agree on the style of the wedding,
it doesn't have to be expensive, it just has to be something that comes from the heart, I think.
The number of guests is still a sore point.
We decided on 100.
No. Can you turn off the cameras for a second, Mum?
Yeah.
With most of their family in Nigeria, it's up to friends Opeyemi, Miriam, Alice, Jide, and Nkem's cousin Uche to make the all-important wedding decisions. Expert wedding planner Becky Gregory is eager to help.
The London team chose the couple's local church and a nearby school for the reception, choices that put them into second place.
So guys, we had a really successful week last week, didn't we?
Yes, definitely. Venue decided.
Yes.
So we've got the church and then literally just across the road, the school.
We couldn't get any closer, I don't think. Or more convenient, so that was great on that front.
But you haven't been quite so lucky this week, which is our catering week, have you?
Unfortunately, 20 minutes after our first caterer was supposed to be here, they've called and they've let us down, unfortunately.
Oh.
Which is a real shame.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one less caterer for us to try. But I don't think we need to worry because we've got some other great options.
Yeah, and we've got a bar arriving as well, haven't we? Which I'm very excited about. Now the bar, isn't this going to be a bit expensive?
Well, no, I spoke to the chap, Dan from Bar Designs,
right,
who we'll meet soon, and he's actually waived his hire fee, which would usually be £750.
Wow! Because the way he's actually making money is that it will be a pay bar, so he'll make any money from people buying drinks on the night. So, what sort of food are we trying today?
Nigerian food.
Now, I had a look at the menu earlier. I didn't really understand what a lot of the things were, so I hope you're going to be doing a bit of giving us a few explanations.
You're the expert today, okay?
But well, a staple Nigerian sort of meal or sort of party known as jollof rice.
Right.
It's just pretty much rice cooked in a spicy tomato sauce.
Yummy.
So it comes out red and spicy.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, I think it'll go well with our colour scheme as well. Which is good.
That's what we're looking at.
We have a nice colourful buffet.
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
But something you definitely, I think you like fried plantains, which are sort of
I've heard
bigger
about
than
these
bananas,
actually, yeah.
and have they're not quite as sweet as bananas.
I'm really looking forward to that. So how have you managed to save money on the catering? I think you're having a buffet, aren't you?
Yeah, well the main thing was that if you're going to have a sit-down 3-course meal anywhere, then that's going to rack your prices up a lot.
Yeah.
So when I approached the caterer, I said we're quite happy to have a simple 1-course buffet.
Okay.
And then use the wedding cake as desserts, so we don't have to pay for a separate dessert and a wedding cake.
Brilliant.
Our last couple are Oxfordshire-based Martine and Jay. Having lost touch for many years, they were reunited over the internet and are now looking for a simple wedding.
Just have all our family there, like not the big white wedding.
Wedding planner Sandy Moretta is lending her expert touch to this team, made up of Martine's mum Sue, Sue's sister Linda, Martine's sister Debbie, Jay's best friend James, and Jay's brother and best friend Simon, along with his partner Hayley. The Oxfordshire team chose a lovely country barn for their wedding. Simon offered to do maintenance work in exchange for the venue hire, a stroke of genius that has put them into first place.
So welcome back, Martine and Jay's wedding team.
So I think really now that we know that it's Lane's Barn,
yes,
that really sets the whole backdrop for the wedding. We knew right from the start that we were going the sort of rustic route.
Yeah.
But we now know exactly what it looks like and exactly what our backdrop is. So what we're going to do today, first of all, we're going to go and see a gentleman just around the corner who does hog roasts. This is Jeremy. He is known by Simon, and he has also come recommended by Tours, and that's always great within within your team. But what we have to remember with pig roasts is that you've got the cost of the hog to start with.
Right.
So, for example, there is no point in roasting a hog for less than about 70-75 people.
Really?
So that's really worth bearing in mind as we go through the day. Secondly, we're going to go and meet a gentleman who is larger than life, who is totally involved in Lane's Barn because his family left Lane's Barn to the trust. He doesn't do pig roasts, but he does lamb, ham, chickens, that sort of thing. So again, a kind of barbecue style.
Okay.
Then lastly, we're going to see two gentlemen who are new to the area and therefore very keen to get himself known by the local people, of whom obviously Martine and Jay are too. And he has said that he will let us have a pig at cost, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow.
So as we go through the day, we need to be thinking about whether we really want the hog, and we've got two options there.
Right.
Or whether we want to do something different and reduce perhaps the numbers.
So that's lots of food for thought there.
Yes.
No pun intended. Should we go and meet some caterers?
Yes. Lovely. Let's go.
Coming up, the hunt begins to find some delicious wedding food at tempting prices.
If I tried just that, I couldn't tell you really what it is.
Our hunt for catering begins today in Oxfordshire at a local pub whose landlord specialises in hog roasts. A perfect start.
So nice to meet you, Jeremy.
Nice to meet you.
We spoke on the phone during the week about the idea of a hog roast for somewhere between sort of 70 and 100 people. One quick question, because when we spoke, I was thinking in terms of around 100 people. It looks as though the number is more likely to be about 70. Now, I totally appreciate that there is quite a large fixed cost. Does the £7.50 a head still stand for 70 people?
It would. I'll do it at the fixed price per head. You want them to have a good wedding, obviously.
We certainly do.
Cost effective but not cheap.
If we go with a hog roast, it is a feature before people have anything like arrived. It will, and the smell is fabulous.
Yeah, exactly.
It is very much a feature in itself.
So what do you do with your hog roast?
Hot buttered new potatoes, served in a polished stainless steel serving trays. We do fresh mixed green salad with tomatoes, a pasta salad and a rice salad. There'll be a selection of French sticks and soft brown and white rolls. When they've had their main course, my staff would carve off any excess pork and distribute it on platters around the table, so all the people who are not watching the weight can dig in without the embarrassment of walking up to the buffet.
And that's very important to Sue and her family. There's a lot of people like their food. You told me that, Sue. You said your family likes their food.
Linda's does.
But we were speaking earlier, and this is very much what Sue was saying. She would like people to feel that there is sufficient food around, and I think that's great to have it on the platters.
And what about the desserts that you do?
I've got a very good local caterer who does them for me in the kitchen about 200 metres from here. Lemon tart, apple pie, apple crumble, or a chocolate roulade, or if you prefer, a fresh fruit salad. We'll set up our buffet with trestle tables, with, restaurant tablecloths, but we can make it as long or as short, as big or as small as you want it. And if you want to add stuff to it, no problem.
And you were saying you've done Lane's Barn?
Yes,
before.
I have, yeah.
Yes, so...
Another cost-effective wedding.
Yeah.
When catering for a budget wedding, it's not just the food you need to think of, it's the drink too. And this is exactly what our London team is doing now.
So this is Dan from Bars by Design. Thank you so much for coming along. So I understand that you've got a tasting for us today.
Yeah, I brought a few bits and pieces for you to taste, so you can have a look at what we do. I brought you a nice chocolate cocktail. I can do a range of cocktails if we decide to do cocktails. They're actually shown on the price list I've given you. Now, what we usually do is a bride and a groom cocktail. So we just do... We do just limit it to 2.
Chickadillion and Kem wedding cocktail.
Yes.
I really like that idea, actually.
I do.
How do you think that would go down well with the kind of Nigerian people who are not so keen on drinking? Obviously, they won't drink it, but with everyone else?
Yeah, the people who will drink it will enjoy it.
They'll be happy with that.
Yeah, they'll be happy.
Great.
So this is just a mix of milk, Baileys, Kahlua, which is a coffee liqueur, and some raw chocolate as well. So there's some raw chocolate in there to make it. So
what's it called?
It's just a chocolate frappe. We can also make things really pretty, like we can put like hundreds and thousands around the top of the glass to dress it.
The more things we can have like that, the more fruit and the more hundreds and thousands, the better, really.
Okay, and obviously taking that forward, we can then take that onto the bar and we can come up with some really nice, colourful cocktails to do on the bar.
And these are the prices that you charge on the night?
These are the prices that we charge on the night. I mean, it's £3 for a packaged or a pint, and it goes to £3 for a gin and a tonic, because we charge 50p for the mixer.
Because there's like a reasonable pub price.
It is, yeah. It's not even the soft drinks.
Even the cocktail, £4.50.
Yeah, that's actually cheaper.
That's actually cheap.
Yeah.
How big would the glasses be?
They'd be standard half-pint glasses, so they'd be about the same size as that, basically.
Okay. Tell us a bit about the bar.
It's got a nice acrylic front, and it's got LED lighting in it that can be controlled by remote control by the operator. Now, we can have it either a fixed colour, and any one of 1,000 different colours, or we can have it scrolling gently through all the colours so that it brings in all the colour elements of the wedding. I don't know which way you want to do it, whether you want to go for 2 white, 1 red, 2 whites, 2 red per table. But I can come up with a price list, and I'll email you a price list of what it is to cost, and we can do a little bit of a sample now. It's Argentinian wine. It's fairly fruity.
It is.
It's a drinking wine.
It's an Malbec.
Yeah.
It's sort of it's easy.
It's easy drink. I was going to say.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
easy drinking.
if you say that most of the people there aren't real drinkers, then you don't want anything too full-bodied, otherwise it will just be too much for them to drink. It is quite normal to have 2 bottles of white and 2 bottles of red, or alternatively, I'll do you the 1 white and 1 red per table at a cost price, and then they can go to the full wine price to buy any more.
I like the sound of that. I think having 3 bottles on the table might end up being wasteful.
People will either just drink it, or they won't, and it'll be wasted.
It'll be wasted.
So either way, it's a lose-lose situation, I think, doing that. So I think it may be better, as you say, to do a bottle of each at cost price.
Yeah. This one is a Chenin Blanc. Like I say, it's not as cold as I would perhaps like, because it's come straight out of the van, but it's again it's a bit of a medium sweet. It's not really, really dry.
I like it. It's quite light, isn't it?
What sort of wine is that?
Sorry, that is a Chenin Blanc Torrontés. It's again from Argentina.
But there's going to be spicy food there, and I think something nice and light like this would be ideal.
Thank you so much, Dan. That's been really good fun. It's been wonderful trying the chocolate cocktail, but I think it was a little bit too enjoyable.
It all seems to be going well now, though, doesn't it?
It is. It feels like it's really happening now.
Yeah.
It's coming together nicely, I think.
Over in Oxford, a recommendation from Len's Barn has led the team to meet with a trustee who just happens to be in catering.
Hello, Dr. Squires. We spoke in the week a little bit about this beat the budget wedding.
That's right.
And I think you said that you could possibly do something for around £15 a head.
Yeah. Well, we could do a barbecue, and what is very, very popular is shoulder of lamb, and we take the bone out and split it open and put it flat down on the barbecue. We do chicken joints as well. We do slices of belly of pork, and we do those in the barbecue at the barn. And then everybody sits down, and then there's a huge great table in the middle, and we bring it all over on silver platters. It's not a question of stuffing it in a bun. The table will be 6 tables with tablecloths on it, in a big slab, and we just put them all the way around.
Do you have any pictures of any of the functions that you've done?
Oh yes, I've got this one.
Wow, that looks beautiful, doesn't it?
It's great in the
nice,
centre, isn't it?
Yeah.
That way?
Yes, it is, yes.
It has a kind of homely feel
That's
about
right.
it.
Yeah. I know it's more expensive, but would you consider beef as another option?
We find the lamb joints go particularly well, but with beef, it's quite difficult getting it just the right sort of degree of pink. But the lamb is absolutely delicious.
When we spoke to the hog roast man, he was quite amenable to us adding to the food.
Yes.
If we wanted to.
Well, you'll have more than enough. Kirst is excessively generous for the food side of things.
Once the main serving is over, the family is quite keen to have whatever food is left in the corner for people to go back and recharge if they wish to.
What we would do is a ploughman's, with a slab of patty, and we charge 150 quid for that.
At the moment, we're sort of struggling a little with the 15, so I think we probably wouldn't be in a position to do that. Do you feel there would be sufficient cold food left over, that there would be a table's worth? Or
We do it for 75.
Oh right, okay. Thank you.
Will that fit it? Because it's nice to have something fresh rather than
of course.
a lot of soup.
In a perfect world, certainly it is.
Well, it's been fascinating to meet you, Dr. Squires. And I think we've got to go away and have a think about this.
I think we do.
Because there's certainly a lot to consider.
We'd be very, very sad if you went to somebody who had nothing to do with the barn at all. I paid for it all myself. When my father died, I put all the money he left me into a fund for that, and then we handed it over to the museum, and then other people come in and do their own weddings, which seems it's a bit. I've got over it a bit now, but I was a bit annoyed in the early days.
Dr. Dick is really laying on the sentiment. However, with just £3,000 as the budget, our teams will have to think with their heads, not with their hearts. And in Surrey, they're about to start thinking with their stomachs too.
Good afternoon. I'm Peter, the chef. Just going to tell you what you've got here with starters. This is a smoked mackerel and horseradish parfait, a little bit of marinated cucumber with it. A chicken liver parfait, some gherkins there. A soup that's lightly spiced parsnip soup with some cumin seeds and black onion seeds. And that's a salmon and dill fish cake with a light mustard sauce. So if you'd all like to have a try of those, see what you think. And I shall see you again when we bring the main course out to see how you got on. Okay, thanks.
Now, if I can just hold you off from tucking in for 1 minute, how does everyone think it looks?
Very good.
Very nice.
The presentation's great.
Yes.
Are there any obvious favourites? I know, Carol, you thought the fish cake looked good.
I like the look of the fish cake. And the soup as well.
The soup.
Yes.
Phil, Jill, any ideas?
I think we've got a problem with fish with someone in the party.
Yeah, Jeff.
Jeff.
The
groom.
We don't like fish.
No.
So that would rule out the smoked mackerel parfait and the fish cake. Well, tuck in, see what you think.
The Surrey team have done a deal where the venue and catering is included in one price. But if this food doesn't taste good, then they won't have another option.
That, Anita, what's that? Is that nice?
Lovely.
I mean, I think the soup's very nice.
That's right.
Could be a little bit spicy. I prefer the fish cake. But I can see a lot of people maybe wouldn't. I just like fish cake.
Although, does it taste that fishy?
It is quite
Is
fishy.
it quite fishy?
If there's only going to be one option, then soup should be it, because most people I know like soup. But
Soup is fairly safe, too, isn't it?
I think soup.
I mean, it might be a little bit spicy, but it's still safe.
Everybody I know likes soup, and even if the flavour's not quite what they like, they'll have
it's safe.
Easy to eat.
Yeah.
and they can eat the bread roll.
Michaela, I know you think soup's the one to go for, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just think there's nothing worse than going to a wedding and, you know, and you're hungry and you sit down and a fish cake comes out and you're like, great, no, I'm not going to eat that. So I'll wait for everyone else to finish and then I'll eat my plate.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you said, I like the look, I like the presentation of all the others, but the soup, you know, it's better taste for everybody. Everybody will...
It's not polarising.
That's it, yeah.
So, it's soup for starters then. Coming up, the hunt for perfect wedding catering continues.
We can sit down, we can design your own menu, literally from start to finish.
Our 3 teams have been trying to find the best value catering for their couples' weddings. Having already chosen the drink, our London team is now turning their attention to the food.
Wow, so this is the food the caterers brought along for us. Pemmy, I've got no idea what these things are, so are you able to talk us through what everything is?
Sure. It's really just fried chicken and meat.
And is it fried in spices?
Yeah, well, I think it's spiced and then fried.
Okay.
And
so that usually comes mixed like that with different meats?
It usually does come mixed with different meats, and there's usually sort of a tomato-based spicy sauce to go with it.
Okay.
So it's not dry.
Okay.
And then there's fried rice.
And that's got all sorts of things in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, prawns, peas, peppers.
Maybe mushroom?
Or something, but yeah. You tend to just sort of throw everything in it. And then the spices are different from a Chinese fried rice.
Okay.
Jollof rice is that, and it's cooked in a spicy tomato sauce. So tomatoes, onions, peppers, and then the rice is steamed in the sauce, so it comes out red and looking like that. It tastes really good, and it's usually brought out on Sundays or at parties, and it's eaten all across West Africa actually. Although each region has a slightly different variation. And then that's just fried fish.
Okay.
Really, there's nothing to it.
Do you know what sort of fish it might be?
It looks like a tilapia.
Right.
You're so good at painting.
Yeah.
So is that cooked in spices or?
You can just fry it or something.
Okay.
I'll know once I taste it. And then that's moi moi, which although it doesn't look great, tastes great.
Looks pretty interesting to me.
It's colourful anyway, isn't it?
It is. It's the main ingredient is actually beans. Just regular black-eyed beans. I think there's fish in it and there are eggs, and so all these things give it a taste. Don't be apprehensive.
Before we tuck in, do you think Chickadillion and Ken would be pleased to see this on the menu?
Yes, yes they would, because it's what you'd expect. I think for £600 it's an absolute bargain. Because Nigerian caterers probably started about sort of between £15 and £19 a head.
Yeah.
So
wow.
pushing it all the way down.
That's low as well.
Is really low.
An average kind of starting price, you're looking at £22, £25 per head.
Yeah, 15 would be cheap.
15 would be cheap, yeah, absolutely.
Bon appetit, ladies.
Well, as my mother always said, you should try everything at least once.
And it looks and smells great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does smell delicious.
I really like it, actually.
Is it nice? In terms of the decision today, whether we go for the drinks man, Dan, or whether we go for this caterer, are you completely decided it, Pammy?
Yes. Let's go with Dan and go with this caterer. And I'll put...
Yes, no, I'll put catering. I'm confident that it will turn out great. And the bar people as well, Bars by Design, I think are fantastic.
Amazing value catering. At just £4 per head, it's an absolute bargain. Will our other two teams be able to get such a great deal? Over in Surrey, it's time for the main course.
OK, essentially speaking, you've got two dishes here, a chicken dish and a pork dish. The one over there is the vegetarian alternative to the chicken, as it were. We've done the vegetarian, so it looks similar to the chicken. The chicken is stuffed with a mousse of piquillo peppers. You've got a little tian of roasted root vegetables there, Duchess potatoes and curly kale on the top. The pork dish, that's served with chickpeas with chorizo peppers and a little bit of tomato through it, a little bit of sea salt and rosemary focaccia. And the vegetarian option, the garnish is the same, but just roasted courgette on some grilled halloumi cheese.
So guys, before you tuck in, can I have your initial impressions? I mean, it certainly looks great, doesn't it?
They all look very nice, I think. Yeah. I like the way the chicken's done.
It's nice and it's clever the way the vegetarian option reflects the sort of the look of the chicken.
Yes, but I also like the look of the chickpeas and the chorizo.
So let's tuck in. Michaela, you're looking a bit nervous.
Okay. I don't know. I can't decide on the mousse stuff in the middle. I think it's just a bit different, isn't it? You don't often have mousse in the middle of your chicken.
It's like a posh chicken Kiev.
Yes.
I'm not sure about the chickpeas either.
No, it's got...
Would you like us to swap?
No. Make sure.
Here we go.
Roger, do you want to try the vegetarian?
If I tried just that, I couldn't tell you really what it is.
This is something Katie would choose.
Really?
Yeah.
And Jeffrey,
I think she'd like the chickpeas. I don't know, to me chicken's more sort of everyday. You know, like the vegetables, the potato. But with this, I would never have put that together. And so it's not an everyday dish, and I believe she'd go for that.
So, everyone's tried everything now, I think. Should we try and come to some sort of decision?
Why don't we put the vegetables with the pork? Because Jill's a bit worried about not liking the chickpeas.
I think it's an acquired taste.
I personally think
think
it's lovely.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that
I
might
think
not.
they'd eat them though.
For me, this one comes out to be a bit more special.
I think I would go with the pork as well, but I'd go with the pork with the potatoes and this vegetable rather than with the chickpeas and the bread.
So has Phil got his way again? Surrey have gone for the pork with the potatoes for their main. Yummy. That's 2 down, just Oxfordshire left. Determined to find a great price hog roast, the team meet with a local butcher who points them in the direction of a caterer who just happens to do low-cost weddings.
Here's some brochures and pictures of weddings we've done in the past, buffets, picture of a hog roast there, and just different salads we've done. Homemade coleslaw, hot new potatoes with parsley, stuffed peppers, different colours, etc. Couscous with wild mushrooms, done on big mirrors, all done in white, like that's coronation chicken. Salmon, of course. Nice homemade fresh fruit salads and etc. Fresh strawberries from Kew Gardens, fresh raspberries from Kew Gardens. We've got it all on our doorstep. We're so lucky here to have everything on the doorstep. And we can use that and bring it in, and everybody gets flavoursome foods. Everything's labelled and all done, and I've got a girl who handcrafts all our labels and does them all for me. some menus just so that's a sit-down menu, but you can do a buffet exactly the same and do one for each table if you like.
Yeah.
Here you go. Lane's Barn, as we've laid up a buffet in the past, there's the deck there, that's the gallery there, and that's the kitchen door just there. You guys want to do harvest theme and etc. Like instead of using white tablecloths, use Hessian and put it down the fronts to make it look good. And then your corn sheaves you can put at the fronts.
And later in the evening, when we put what's left and possibly
replenish it all.
Where do you leave that in the same spot generally?
Normally we leave it in the same spot, but it just depends how much you want for later on in the evening, if you want to add a cheese board to it or if you want to add other things.
I think it's going to depend on whether we have additional people coming in the evening or whether the same people are there all day.
Like our canapes, finger spring rolls with chili jam dip, prawn and coriander, smoked salmon and cream cheese Bellini. Yeah, there we go, a bit more posher. And they're all homemade. But there's lots of different ones you can do, and there's hundreds I could put in a brochure. But if you've got ideas, we can sit down, we can design your own menu, literally from start to finish. And then you've got a flavoursome menu, and everybody's going to enjoy it. And there's something for everybody. And that's what it's all about.
Thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Thank you. They seem really impressed, and I have a sneaking suspicion that James is their man. But it's not up to me to decide, it's their call.
Right, ladies, we've seen all the options, and now I'm afraid it's decision time. So, should we have a bit of a discussion about what we thought of each?
Absolutely. And before that, folks, because you didn't get to do tastings because we were talking about barbecues, here's your consolation prize.
Oh,
very sweet. Shall I take the wrappers off?
Yeah. So, the first place we went to see, which was Jeremy at the Railway Tavern. Now, he was offering a pig roast with salads and bread, wasn't he?
Yes.
And he came recommended, so that in itself was an advantage. What else did you think?
I thought he was very businesslike in what he was doing, and I felt that he would do it and would do it well.
And Sue, you wanted someone quite chatty, and he was certainly quite chatty, wasn't he? So he would have helped create a nice atmosphere with the guests.
Yes, he'd been quite certainly bubbly on the day.
With Jeremy, you could have literally just the hog and the bread and apple sauce, and that would literally start at $3.50 a head, and he was prepared to do that. So that would be one option, but obviously we want to give people more than that, and so to do everything, so the salads, the potatoes, some bread, butter, desserts, selection of desserts, staffing and linen, was going to be £7.50 a head. For 100 people. Option number 2 was Dr. and Mrs. Squires over in Wantage. Now, the lovely thing about this couple was that they are so inherently involved in Lane's Barn, and as he was explaining to us earlier, you know, it seems that almost everything they generate they put back into the local community, which is lovely, and sort of had the reason I took you to see him really was it had the right feel with this pulling together community type wedding. So with Dr. and Mrs. Squires, the price would come in at £15 a head. Now, whilst we were talking to them, we were sort of debating what numbers were going to be, and we thought that it might be around the 70 mark. We now believe it's going to be more like 100, which although is doable within our budget, it is half of it, and we need to consider whether or not we can manage that. And then we come to option 3, which was the second hog roast. This was Aaron and James, where we went to the butcher's shop. That would come in for 100 people at £6 a head, which is extraordinary.
£6 a head.
£6 a head
is amazing.
Is incredible. That was with the hog being, you know, not given to us, but we just pay cost for it, which is about £100. He can help us with straw bales, with wheat sheaves, with bags of corn. So, which of the 3 options do you feel Martine and Jay would be most comfortable with had they had the opportunity actually to come out with us?
3. Yeah, the third one definitely.
Right. Okay. That was unanimous, wasn't it?
I think as soon as we started talking to them, they were so obviously on exactly the right wavelength.
Yeah.
With the second one, I felt it would have been their wedding.
Yes.
How they wanted it done, how they felt Lane's Barn should have had it done.
And because they're a local company and they're, you know, wishing to establish themselves among the community, that's how you've managed to get such a cracking price, which is fabulous.
I can't see that any other one is really in the running.
No.
So you're
definitely 3. Yes.
You're keen to go with James.
Yes.
Yep. Fabulous.
If only the decision was so easy with all my clients.
A great choice. James is dedicated to local produce at great value. Perfect.
Coming up, it's down to me and wedding expert Fleur Hagan to judge our team's performances. Before the break, London, Oxfordshire and Surrey all chose their wedding catering. Different styles, but all great value. Now it's up to me and my friend Fleur Hagan to judge their choices. She's an expert at knowing what looks good to create a perfect wedding. What will she make of our team's choices and how will she judge them?
Hi Fleur, great to see you again.
And you. Looking forward to seeing what you brought me this week.
Well, this week we're going to be judging catering.
Okay, so quite a tough one then.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting week, quite diverse, I think you'll find.
Okay,
anyway, I won't give anything away, we'll just watch.
Okay.
So this is our couple, Chickadilly and Nkem, our Nigerian couple.
So obviously going with a Nigerian theme.
Yes.
Right.
So this is grilled meats. There's a bit of chicken there, a bit of tripe, and a bit of goat. Fish on the bone isn't my idea of food heaven, but you'll never guess how cheaply this works out per person.
Okay, tell me.
£4 a head.
That's just fantastic.
I know. Unbelievable.
Absolutely fantastic.
Moving on to our second couple, Martine and Jay from Oxfordshire. Now, as you remember, they're getting married in that lovely barn.
Yes.
And so they want food to match the informal venue and to feel quite local. So they were really after a hog roast. We met this couple who are from the local area. They're both quite new in the local area. One is a butcher and the other is a caterer. And they've both offered to put together their services at cost price. So it's all based on building links within the local area.
Great.
And it was incredible how this caterer seemed to be on exactly the same wavelength as the wedding team. He kept using words about it being rustic and having a harvest theme and it feeling darling buds of May. And those are all the sorts of words the wedding team had been talking to us about. Now, our third couple, which are Katie and Jeff from Surrey, who've chosen the hotel.
The hotel.
By choosing that hotel, they have to go with the hotel's caterers. Those costs are already included in the overall amount that they've paid. So the only choice here was what to eat. And I think the food was really beautifully presented,
It does, it
actually.
looks absolutely delicious. Right, so it's scoring time.
Chickadilly and Nkem.
Yes, exactly.
The first couple we saw there. Practicability. It's going to be served buffet style. They've got 150 guests there, and so they needed to look at something that was quite low cost.
Yep.
Most of the guests are Nigerian, and so on a practical level, it made sense to go with Nigerian party food.
We've also got the side of it, though, where they don't have the catering facilities that the other venues do. So
Which is
how
going to
they're
cause some
keep
real problems on the day, I think.
Yeah, they could put a microwave or a couple of microwaves in that room and serve the guests that way.
Yeah, or I think they're going to have the big serving dishes with candles underneath. I think I'm going to give them 7 out of 10.
Exactly what I picked too.
Creativity. I think, you know, Rebecca is used to dealing with English weddings, and she could have gone to any one of her normal caterers, but actually she's run the extra mile and found actual Nigerian caterers who don't necessarily do weddings, and so they've saved money that way. I think by looking beyond her normal list of contacts, she's actually been quite creative here. Now, Chickadilly and Nkem's team have been very creative in terms of the bar. And the man is going to come along. He's offered to waive his fee and come for free on the basis that they buy the wine for the tables from him and then guests buy drinks from him after the meal when the disco's happening or whatever.
Okay, so they've cut quite a good deal
They've
with him.
saved £700. So bearing in mind the food not being that creative, but the way they've got the drinks, extremely creative.
And saved a lot of money.
I think overall, I would give them 8.5 out of 10 for creativity.
I agree, 8.5.
Then, value for money.
It's £4 a head. I don't think we can beat that, can you?
There's quite a lot of food there. There's a lot of choice.
There's a lot of choice, which I think is really important. I think they've done really well. So we'll give them 9.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
The second couple that we saw were Martine and Jay, who were looking to have that country-style hog roast. Practicability, I guess, as they have worked at that venue before, as you were saying, is as good as having the venue's own caterer. They're also going to have lots and lots of salads, so there's lots to choose from.
And you said they were going to throw in other things as well,
Yeah, I think they're throwing
they?
in canapes, they're throwing in ribs, so...
I definitely would give them 8.5 out of 10.
I agree with you.
So creativity, I mean, that guy was quite obviously so full of passion and he had all the pictures to show them.
What's fabulous is this caterer's vision is identical to Martine's mum's. By choosing this local supplier, they've been able to get the costs of the buffet, the hog roast and canapes down to an amazing £6 per head.
It's brilliant.
Another 8.5 out of 10, I think.
I agree too. I would have given that even a 9, but I'm happy to meet you on 8.5 out of 10.
And then in terms of value for money, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, me too. They've done so well.
And then on to our third couple, Katie and Jeff, who I'm afraid after last week are lagging behind a little bit in the points department, aren't they?
But then they have spent a large proportion of their budgets already, and it's now seeing whether they're getting value for that.
Yeah, so Katie and Jeff have now spent £2,271 of their budget, versus Chickadilly and Kem's team, which has spent £1,727, and Martine and Jay, who've only spent £1,455. They've still spent quite a lot of their budget,
really
haven't they?
The first category is the easiest to mark because it's all happening in the venue.
Yeah.
It's all being done for them, which you know with that sort of venue it will be.
They're going with soup, which I think most people would say it's not their favourite food, but it's not. It's something that's quite hard to dislike, isn't it? This team are very practical people, and I think they've done a good job with that. So I'm going to give them quite a high score this week, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Then creativity.
Well, the actual way the food was put together on the plate, I thought was very appealing. They went with the pork, didn't they, in the end? And they swapped the bread for potatoes. So I think they should score quite highly. It's in terms of creativity on the plate, but I'm not sure the idea is particularly creative.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give them 7 out of 10.
This is going to be quite boring because I think I have to agree with you. 7 out of 10, definitely.
What do you think about value for money, Fleur?
Well, I think value for money for this particular team is really high. The portion sizes that the venue's doing are really, really generous, and I think there's not going to be anybody going hungry.
I think they have gone quite over budget, so bearing that in mind, 6 out of 10.
I think that's quite harsh. I'm going to go a little bit higher. I think they should. I think they should have 7.5 out of 10 because they are getting what they want.
I'll meet you at 7.
Okay. I tried, guys. We can't push her anymore.
Oh, stop trying to be the nice guy.
So that's it for this week, and the scores are like this. Still in third, but catching up are the Surrey team with 39.5 out of 60. In close second is the London team on 48.5. And in first place, it's still the Oxfordshire team with 55 out of 60. Next time is probably the most important week of all when we look at the wedding dress. Don't miss it. Here comes the bride. Should this go on before we go upstairs?
Oh, you're probably right, Lucy.
Okay then. I'm not having any rule breakers here. Were we to go with a dress from this shop, you're willing to take your daughter's advice on it and go with the more traditional dress? She's still abstaining.